What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It's Saturday, and today we're going over our second video in this series, the 5 cryptids from Alaska. But before we get into that, guys, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and please comment down below with any cryptids that you guys think are really cool. If you guys are from Alaska, please let me know if you've heard of any of these before. And all that being said, guys, let's get into this video. I'm gonna have to cut this out real quick, guys. I do not own the rights to this article. I'm simply using it so I can pass along the information. This article is at adn.com if you'd like to go read it for yourselves. It says Anchorage Daily News. Please go over there and show them some love as well. Alaska folklore, 5 mythical creatures of the last frontier. In the 8th grade at Clark Junior High School in Anchorage, students were all required to study Alaska history. Fair enough, but since the great state of Alaska was only a few decades old at that time, we finished our required history lesson fairly quickly, in approximately 3 weeks. After all, you can only study larger-than-life characters like Soapy Smith, Joseph Lenu, and Linnaeus Mac McGee before you start to run out of colorful history. To fill up the rest of the semester, the very old and very wise Mrs. Johnson, not her real name, changed to protect her innocent or guilty, depending on how you look at it. That's actually a good joke. Like, this is kind of funny to me that you don't even go back to think about it. Like, at one point in time, there wasn't a whole lot of history to cover, and this woman in Alaska was just like, you know what? American history, we're done with that. That took 3 weeks out of the school year. So, hey, who wants to talk about some monsters? Like, that's funny to me. Decided to teach us about Alaska's myths and legends. I'm pretty darn sure she had a hidden agenda to pay back all the little hellions that frequently disrupted her class by scaring the living daylights out of us and filling our nights with cold sweats and nightmares of baby-stealing, child-eating monsters. To make it even worse, she insisted on testing our knowledge of these critters to make sure we'd never forget them. So here are 5 mythical creatures of Alaska that haunted my dreams. She had them doing tests about fictional animals or fictional creatures in school. This woman might be my new hero. Like, this is actually really cool and awesome. So number 1 is the Qualupalik. The Qualupalik is a creature of Inuit legend described as being human-like and having green skin with long hair and very long fingernails. Hey, so if anyone actually watches this as an artist, you guys should draw these and send them to me. Like, my daughter does these. Like, she likes to, when she's listening to me, she likes to draw the animals that I'm listening just based off, like, descriptions. So you guys should totally do that. Like, draw, like, come watch my video, listen to some of these descriptions of these things, and draw me what you think they'd look like, and then send it to me on Instagram. The Qualupalik is a creature of Inuit legend described as being human-like and having green skin with long hair and very long fingernails. She lives in the sea, hums to entice children to come closer to the water, and wears an ameutik, a parka worn by Inuit women to hold a child against the back in a built-in baby pouch just below the hood. It sounds like they're talking about a siren. Like, that's what I get from that, is like siren, like mermaid vibes. Parents and elders tell children that if they are disobedient or wander too close to the seashore, the Qualupalik will come on shore, put them in her ameutik, and take them back to the sea with her to raise them as her own children, never to see their family again. So if you are ever standing on the shore of the Arctic Ocean and hear a woman humming, run. The Nunavut Animations Lab created a short animated film that tells the Qualupalik legend in great detail with unique illustrations, and you can view it here. Yeah, go show them some love. I'm thinking a lot of these, like, cryptid stories of, like, these animals and these legends are probably more than half of them, I think, can be attributed to parents trying to scare children and make them do the right thing, essentially. And they're basically just all the boogeymen, a lot of these. Okay. And here I think we're getting into a Alaskan Bigfoot. Of the Alaska Bushmen, or Tornets, have been told since the first humans crossed the Bering Land Bridge. In the beginning, the story goes, the Inuit and the Tornets lived peacefully in villages near each other and shared common hunting grounds. The Inuit people often built and used kayaks for hunting. While the Tornets were unable to master the building of kayaks, they were very aware of the advantages of having and using one. One story goes that a young Tornet borrowed a young Inuit's kayak without permission and damaged the bottom of it. The young Inuit became very angry and stabbed the Tornet in the nape of the neck while he was sleeping, killing him. The rest of the Tornets feared that they too would be killed by the Inuit and fled the country, rarely to be seen again. Since that have come out of the bush of hunters disappearing later, found dead and never seen again. Apparently, hunters and the Tornets no longer peacefully share a common hunting ground. Every spring, my family and the Panilo clan, a Hawaii family we were very close to, would pack up and head to Willow for a week of fish or the salmon in the a little Susitana rivers. Oh, this is going to be a story about a guy that saw one, I bet. One particularly rainy and cold spring, my father, brother, and I were pulling in salmon after salmon when a nasty, skunky, musky smell floated towards us. It suddenly dawned on me that most of the other fishing families had quietly and quickly disappeared. Mr. Panillo always fished with a shotgun by his side. My own father was always armed with a Colt 45, and now he unsnapped his holster, quietly told us to reel in our gear and pack up. Since we'd only been fishing for about an hour and it wasn't anywhere near dark, all of us kids were a little confused, but knowing not to question our dads, when they gave us an order, did as we were told. I whispered to my dad, asking what was wrong. He whispered back, "Bear." But I wasn't so sure. I had never smelled a bear like that. As we were crossing over the railroad bridge, I remember looking at some trees that had been uprooted and then stuck in the ground upside down. I often wondered why and how someone could do that. I learned many years later that was a telltale sign of Bigfoot territory. I guess I'll never know if that was a bear or a Bigfoot that displaced us from the fishing that evening, but I do know that was the last time our families ever fished that river. It was also the first and only time all the kids got to sleep, or at least tried to, in the camp trailer instead of tents. So, that's the second week in a row they've had a Bigfoot legend, but Alaska is known for its Bigfoots, and that's actually another way, like the last one, that's actually another article that in the other article they make like the tree structures, like the triangular ones, and that's another thing that they're said to do. They'll uproot trees, flip them over, and shove them in the ground upside down, and that's another way of marking their territory. It's kind of like a weird totem pole. Anyways, I don't know if that's legit, but if Bigfoot's real and they are doing that, just imagine how strong they'd have to be to do that, though. I mean, it does kind of thing. It is kind of scary, and yeah, I think that his dad probably really did see a bear, though, in that particular story, and everybody was just smart enough to get out of there. Adlet. The third creature to inhabit my middle school nightmares was the bloodthirsty Adlet, which bears some resemblance to the better-known werewolf from the Inuit legends. So now we have Alaskan werewolves. The Adlet are a race of people said to have the lower body of dogs and the upper body of humans. Typically, they're believed to be the offspring of an Inuit woman and a dog brought about through an unnatural mating. That is just wrong to think about on so many different levels. The woman gave birth to 10 children, half of whom were dogs and the other half Adlet. The family was sent to a remote island because they were so ferocious, and their grandfather would hunt for them and provide them with meat. Every day, the dog husband was supposed to swim from the island to the mainland, where the grandfather was supposed to fill a pair of boots wrapped around the dog's neck with meat. Eventually, the grandfather filled the boots with rocks and drowned the husband. Though the Adlet legend is based in far north mythology, a version of the story also appears in Greenland, where the Adlet are instead dubbed Quiglet. I can't pronounce that. A few researchers have linked it to the European tales of the werewolf. Shortly after studying the adlet, the wonderfully gory movie American Werewolf in London came out. I'm not sure if it was the legend of the movie or my friend Joey eating a beef burrito during the movie that gave me countless nightmares of being chewed on by a large, mangy, growling wolf. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that one. Like, the story, sometimes the stories behind these things are way scarier. Do I believe there is a weird inbred family of people that look strange, or a weird family of people, maybe not even inbred, just a weird family of people that look strange that this story could be based off of in Alaska? Yeah. And do I believe that the granddad probably drowned the dog? Yeah, sure, definitely. But this one's like kind of a tall tale. It's really cool though that like there's Bigfoots and werewolves in Alaska, and we've had both of those. Like that was another one in Alabama last week. So it's like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. A lot of these follow the same pattern, I guess, of cryptid. Okay, so what do we got now? We got Tizhiruk. I'm not even sure. In mythology, the Tizhiruk are large snake-like sea creatures that are believed to roam Alaska's waters. They are described as having a head 7 foot long with a tail ending in a flipper for a total of 12 to 15 feet long. Tizhiruk were said to snatch people from docks and piers. I'm sure not one of them accidentally fell in because the docks never get iced over and slippery. Maybe the next time I'm down at the docks and seaward and find myself haphazardly sliding down the ramps on the ice, I'll blame the Tizhiruk instead of my own clumsiness. Oh, he says, I'm sure not one of them. So even this guy's like, this one doesn't even make sense. The Tizhiruk have some similarities to the Hyatic or lightning snakes, occasionally associated with the thunderbird of southeast Alaska and Pacific Northwest native cultures. Once the thunderbird spotted a killer whale, it would launch Hyatic as living weapons by throwing them from the skies like lightning. Huh. So this is just like combining cryptids now. Like cryptid stories. Although it is kind of interesting though. Like I wonder if that has, so like eagles will sometimes carry things, like carry like animals and fly them high in the sky and then drop them. And I wonder if that link is from like an eagle. Somebody saw an eagle doing that and then it happened to land on a whale. That's kind of interesting and kind of cool. Yeah, though I don't know, in this one, like, it really does sound like people were just slipping off of docks and falling in the water. But, hey, I mean, like I said, this is interesting because you never know. At least what it could be. Alright, this should be the last one, the Keelut. The Keelut is described as having an evil earth spirit that takes the form of a black hairless dog with only hair on its feet. It's much like the black dogs of Great Britain, following travelers at night, attacking them and killing them. If a trail of dog tracks is found that suddenly disappears, it is believed to be the Keelut is nearby. Now, Alaska is filled with all kinds of canines, wolves, foxes, coyotes, sled dogs, and your typical other domestic dog, which all of the canine activity, I'm not sure how you could confirm bad Keelut was tracking you unless he came up and bit you on the rump with a wicked laugh. And it gets downright cold in winter and some summers too, so being hairless isn't really indicative of being a very smart in my book. It's also what makes it a cryptid though. Because it's hairless like that. I mean, I don't know. This one actually never really scared me much, but they were trying to pass off as food in these slow. Okay. Well, that was 5 cryptids from Alaska. Admittingly, some of them I didn't know about, and I'm thinking the Thunderbird might have been a little bit more interesting to go over. But hey, if you guys leave a few likes on this video, I don't really know how many, I'll probably go ahead and cover that in another video down the line. I hope you guys learned something. Please let me know out of that one, like, what was y'all's favorite cryptid to hear about out of that group? Have you ever heard of any of them before? Well, except the exception of Bigfoot. But have you guys ever heard that story of, like, where the Bigfoot people came from, at least in that part of Alaska? I'd be really interested to know. Like I always say though, guys, please go ahead, once again, do please hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below with any cryptids you guys think might be really awesome. I need more ideas, and that's just going to help me keep going on with this series once I get done with all the cryptids in the 50 states. And yeah, guys, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next video.